I'm here with Cann from Sysomos. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about what Sysomos does.
Okay, so Sysomos is a leading social media monitoring, engagement, and analytics platform, and we have the privilege of working with a number of the world's largest companies in satisfying a few main objectives. Number one, we give them a platform that they can integrate their online assets, their social media assets, things like Twitter handles, Facebook fan pages, YouTube channels. And based on that integration, they can learn more about their audience and who their audience is and what's the persona. It also allows them to engage, for example, tweet from the platform. Other main objective that we satisfy is that of a content aggregator. Okay, so currently we have 34 billion documents that we've indexed and archived, and we layer on that data analytics so that our clients can mine that information for business intelligence, as well as to get greater insights around their business or the industries that they operate in.
Heartbeat delivers competitive intelligence covering a wide variety of metrics.
It's been really interesting over the past few years with social because people and companies are taking it so much more seriously. I mean, there was a time when you went on Twitter and no one really thought much of it, but now it truly, there is an art to all of this, and in many ways, you know, it allows companies to be more profitable. And what do you think was the shift? What was the change that kind of got us to this point?
I think with any medium, there's a tipping point that comes when there's a large enough audience spending enough time somewhere, wherever that place is, people pay attention. So what once was this activity that your crazy aunt did or that your teenage son did has now gotten to a point where a critical mass is reached. So I think that's one factor, and the other factor is the amount of intelligence that's being created, so or being produced, being posted online. So if you think about the amount of content that's created each and every second of the day, we're essentially we're collectively documenting the history of the world. So everything from talking about your new pair of running shoes to talking about political events to talking about sporting events, all of this is being documented, and we're collecting this information. And so there's lots of insights for clients to dive into, and I think that's as well what's really started to mature the industry.
Now, there's lots of content, like you mentioned, lots of insight to be able to be gathered through using some of these systems. But what about the return on investment? And I'm sure you hear that a lot from clients. How are they, beyond engagement, are they kind of measuring the success, and do your tools help with that?
They do, and I think the return on investment question really needs to be answered based on what department you're in. The return on investment, looking at it as a whole, can be a difficult thing to answer, but if we narrow that down to, for example, customer service, using social media and replying to people and using it as a customer service tool, how much is that saving the company in terms of what they're investing in IVR and in telephone customer service? So if you break it down into specific funnels, it becomes a lot more trackable. You can also take a look at the impact your blog has had and do some unique coding to understand, for example, leads coming in through certain channels, which are much more measurable than just taking a look at it as the larger, what is the ROI.
Can you give me an example of a case study or how a client has used your systems to be able to evaluate what they're doing in the social media space?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of practical examples. One fun example from just the Christmas season was Canadian Tire, and they set up a Christmas powered or a social media powered Christmas tree. So that it was powered by Sysomos content, and every mention of Christmas from Canada would result in a flash going off on the Christmas tree. So a very sort of fun example of how we can start to visualize this content and take a look at the sheer amount of participation within social media.